Hey y'all, Darla here with Growing Tropical. So are you guys ready for fall? Are you trying to psych yourself up for fall if you live in a climate like I do, South Florida, Zone 10? I gotta tell you, I love the fall months. I love going into our cooler months, if you will. Our heat here has just been intense. Nothing new. It's always intense here, living here in South Florida. But trying to psych yourself up for fall is a little bit of an effort, I'm not gonna lie. But the other day, I was just thinking I was going to go to the grocery store and I was going to pick up some, flowers or whatever in the produce section, bring them home and put together a fall arrangement for the table. And then I got to thinking about that and I thought to myself, why am I going to the store to purchase flowers or pretty things to make a fall arrangement when I have a beautiful garden full of gorgeous things right here? Now, mind you, I have never gone into my garden and actually clipped things to put them in water for an arrangement. And you know what, y'all? I don't really know why I've never really thought about that. Usually when I'm in my garden, I'm trimming things up. They either go in the composter or they go out by the trash, the yard trash. And I never really thought about putting them in, like water for a display. And like I said, I don't really know why I didn't. But the other day was different, and I thought to myself, I'm going to go out and experiment a little bit. First of all, when I clip things in my garden, I need to know, because I said I've never done this before, I need to know when I clip, for example, an asparagus fern, like this guy right here. Okay, look how beautiful this guy is. This is an asparagus fern. But when I usually clip them, like I said, I just throw them into the composter or to the yard trash. And I never really knew how long that they actually lasted. So I started clipping some random things from the garden, and I put them in water. Let me show you what I did. I got a vase, and I just filled it up with some water. And as I was clipping things, I just put them in here and just started arranging them. And I was like, okay, I'm loving this. But the question was, how long will this actually last? How long can I actually keep this pretty? Can I put this on my Thanksgiving table for an arrangement and will it last? Well, this is day number 3. And mind you, there's no preservative or anything in here. I was super, super thrilled. And so what I thought I would do was I would go through my garden and take you guys along with me and start clipping some things, some familiar things that I know are going to last now, and maybe some new things that I'm not sure of yet. And we'll go ahead and put together another vase. Only this time, instead of doing it in a glass vase, I've chose to do it in some galvanized metal. And I'm going to use a frog. And I think that word is so funny, it cracks me up. But basically, a frog is just something that is to hold the flowers in place. That's really all it is. And the reason I chose chicken wire, as you can see right here, is because I wanted to be able to, well, in this case, let me just say, this vase, the mouth is about that wide. So when you're putting plants down inside there, the plants will actually stand straight up. This is a very wide mouth, as is this, yet even wider. And so I needed something to make sure I could keep the flowers or plants straight up and down so that they don't fall to the side. So I thought what I would do is we would go ahead and we would put one together. We would put one of these together. And only this time I'm also going to use a little bit of a preservative, and I'm going to show you what I found to use as a preservative. So let's go ahead and get started and see if we can't create another one of these guys with maybe using some different flowers. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the things that I was able to forage for in my yard. Let's start with the pitch apple. Now, this pitch apple, it was over on the south side of our yard. So what I did was I just took a couple of clippings, actually, of the pitch apples. I don't know how they're going to last because that's not in this arrangement back here. This is something new, so I'll be real curious to see just how long these will last in water. So let's see what else we have. We've got some Indian hawthorn right here. Now I'm thinking that these probably are going to last a while because if I remember correctly, when I trim my Indian hawthorn, they seem to last for a long time when I toss them off to the side, waiting to throw them in the trash bin. So I'm kind of confident that these guys are going to last pretty long. The only thing that I was a little disappointed, I fight thrip here so badly, and they do have a little thrip damage on them, but I think it'll be okay. I'm just doing this kind of experimental right now. There's no live thrip going on. Everything has been insecticided, so I think it's going to be okay. But anyway, I'll be curious to see how long that will actually last. And let's see, what else do we have? We've got copperbush. Here's another one that I'm not entirely sure how it's going to last. But this is a copperbush. Isn't she pretty? I love all the colors. It's got like what is that? Like an orangey and pinky, like an orangey pink tone. And it's got real dark green and cream color. Just beautiful. But I love these plumes that it sets off. Absolutely just wild. I love it. So I'm not sure about that one either. So we're going to kind of play with that and experiment. And then what else do we have? I think that's it. Oh no, here's crotons. Now I snipped these guys off. I think that these guys last pretty good. They're in this one right here. That was another one of the plants that when I cut it, it kind of drooped just a little tiny bit. And I noticed the parts that were drooping were like the new growth. But after a couple of hours in this particular vase, they all started standing back up. So I'm pretty confident about the crotons. And then what else do I have? You guys saw the asparagus fern that I showed you earlier in the video. I'm not sure how long this will last, but based on, the look of it, it looks pretty hardy. So I'm thinking that it will probably last as well. And then I clipped some, I wasn't sure about these guys either. I clipped some of these, or actually I just pulled these right out of the ground. These are just ferns. These are just, I call them wild ferns. I think these are the sword fern, if I'm not mistaken. Gosh, they make so many different kinds of fern, but basically what I did was I pulled it out of the ground and I just tried to clean up as much of the soil around the roots as possible. And I stuck them down in water, but when I first did it, they wanted to droop too, but I crammed them down there in the water and got them really good. Matter of fact, I stuck them up probably to where the leaves were at here, and then they started standing up. So I'm pretty confident that these guys will do well. And let's see, what else? Let's see, I told you guys about, I snipped some of my bougainvillea. These guys also wanted to tend to go over just a little bit, but after a couple hours in water, they started standing pretty erect. So these, again, are pretty good. And then, let's see, we've got two others. The coleus, I know how these guys work in water. As a matter of fact, you can root these in water. I did a video where I showed propagating, 3 different ways you could propagate them. But so I know these guys will actually root in water. So anyway, these guys will do really well. I took two different varieties of crotons. This one that you just saw here, and then this one right here. And I thought they would just be really pretty together. And then last but not least, and I wanted to do this last year, my pygmy date palm puts off the coolest blooms. I love these guys. What they do is they shoot out these gorgeous blooms of like white. They're just white, powdery, like, I don't even know what you want to call it, if they're like flowers or they're just white and powdery. And then they turn into these beautiful, beautiful clusters. Look at this. They kind of look like mini acorns. Now these, when they're on my pygmy date, when they're actually on the tree, they will last for, gosh, they're on there for about a couple of months until I end up going in and cleaning them off, because after a while they will start losing their berries. So I'll be real curious to know, now that I've clipped them, how long they'll actually last. I took a few and I put them in here. I'm not sure if you guys can see from there, but I put them in the sides. It's been 3 days and so far they've been doing good, and it doesn't look like they're shedding their berries. So those are the plants that I'm going to use to go ahead and put together our next vase. So what I want to do is go ahead and put this let's see, I'm going to put this to the side for right now, kind of reorganize the table a little bit, move some of this stuff out of the way, keep my scissor, and let's see, let's go ahead and start with this galvanized pot, or this, yeah, the galvanized pot. Now, it has no hole in it because we don't want it to be drainage. We want it to hold water. And what I did was, y'all, I went, and I'm going to show you what I did, is what I purchased. I went to the craft store and I just bought this. This is my first time doing it. I just bought this crafting metal. I went to, just like I said, I just went to one of the crafting stores here locally, and I just bought this small box. It looks pretty much just like this. And what you do is just unwind it and kind of fit it to your, I just kind of eyeballed it. I think what you could probably do is just probably put your pot down on there and bring it up and over and kind of get an idea of just how much you actually need. And once I did that, I'm going to put this off to the side. Once I did that, all I basically did, and again, I'm an amateur at this, so I'm not a florist, so I'm sure there's probably a proper way to do this, but I just went ahead and just kind of bunched it all up. I did wear my gloves because it did recommend wearing gloves. I'm not wearing gloves right now, but I did wear my gloves so I didn't get poked, because some of these little pieces are quite pokey. So I would recommend that if you're going to start squishing it together, that you wear gloves. But I just kind of fashioned like just a round, round piece where I could get my stems down inside to hold them up like that. Okay. So you want to make sure that you fit it right down inside just like that. And I wanted mine to be pretty tight. I didn't want to have to worry about like floral tape or anything like that. You could do that. You could floral tape it so it stays in place. But again, like I said, I'm not going to mess too much with that right now. But I got it like that. So that is pretty much what you want it to look like, okay? And again, we're doing this together. I don't know how this is going to turn out because we're doing it for the first time. So let's set that off to the side. Now the next thing, I'm going to take a quart of water, 4 cups, okay, of water, which would be a quart, right? Four cups equals 1 quart. And I found this little recipe online where it shows, and I'm going to put my glasses on for this, but what it shows is taking 2 tablespoons of just white vinegar. I've got just white distilled vinegar here, but it said just white vinegar. And it shows adding 2 tablespoons. So let's do this. 2 tablespoons, whoops, of white vinegar to 4 cups of water. And basically what that does, my understanding is, that aids in like bacteria. Because you know how whenever you do put like your flowers and plants and stuff in water, you know the little packets they give you, that is a preservative, and that keeps the water nice and fresh. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, I've never like looked at what the actual ingredients were in that, but anyway, this is going to be much like those floral packets that you get as far as preservative. And the vinegar, what that does is it just aids in bacteria. It keeps the bacteria down so that your plants don't rot so quick. And then the next step, and I probably should have done this the other way because now I'm all so wet here. Let me see if I can't dry my spoon. Didn't think that through, did I? Okay, so next is we're going to do, let's see, this is 3 tablespoons. Oh, I hope I have enough in here. 3 tablespoons of sugar. 1, 2. Oh, I may have just enough. Wow. I think I have just enough. Boy, I calculated that out pretty good. Okay, so 3 tablespoons of sugar. So now basically what the sugar does is it helps with the overall like vitality of the plants that are in this water. And it also said that it helps with, like, if you have blooming plants in there, it'll help to promote the blooming in the plant and keep actually the blooms on the plant. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to stir this all up together, get it mixed in real good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just pour this right into our container. Okay. Now let the fun begin. I have no idea what I'm going to do here, so we're going to do this together. So let me look at some of these plants. And you know what? Let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to re-trim off some of these guys right here, just to open that back up, because I think it's probably good for if it's open. It makes sense to me that water would go in a lot easier to go up to kind of refresh everything. So let me go ahead and stick this guy right down inside of here. Okay. This is going to be my heavier. These guys are heavy. I'll go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Whoops. Balance it out a little bit. There we go. I got one side a little heavier than the other. Okay, so we've got this going on. Okay, so we've got that going on. I'm not sure. We'll just keep building. Let's go with some copper bushes here. Stems. I'm just going to throw these guys in here. And again, these guys I just freshly cut those. These were cut 3 days ago when I made this one back here. That's why I cut those. But let's go ahead and maybe we can just stick him right down inside here like yay. Whoops. I don't know, y'all. Maybe it would have been a good idea for me to tape this. Those berries are so heavy. Maybe I can take some of those berries off of there. Okay, let's go with, let's do this other copper. Let's take that stem off there. And let's go over in here. Go down a little bit lower. And then, I don't know, what do you guys think? Should we do something, by the way? Should we try this big old croton on here? Look how pretty that is. Isn't that gorgeous? Let's put him right down in the center. Okay, looking pretty good. And then let's see, maybe we can use some of these pitch apples. Let's see how they look. What are we thinking so far? I'm thinking maybe I need to pull some of these paddles off of here. Okay, so what do you guys think? I am no expert by any length of measure, and as a matter of fact, I have very, very little experience putting things like this together, but I gotta tell you, I had a lot of fun, and I think this is an awesome thing for any small gardener to just go out into their own gardens and to look at the beautiful things that they have out there and just clip and stick in water and make your own beautiful arrangements. Y'all, I am having a ball doing this, and I just think it's so pretty. I used quite a few things that I actually used in this arrangement, but just a few new things. The coleus, I never used the cole, or not never, I shouldn't say. I didn't use coleus in this one, but I'm pretty sure that those are going to do well since you can root them in water. Those will probably root for me well after these guys have all died. But the what was it? The copper plant. That was one that I didn't use in this one. So I'll be real curious to see how this one actually is going to do. And then, let's see, I used some ferns, the asparagus fern and then the sword fern. I just put some of them in there. And then I did tuck in a few of my Indian hawthorn. And again, this is another coleus over here. And then of course my top centerpiece here is the croton. So you guys, I love it. I would highly encourage anybody to go out in their garden and just start clipping things and putting them in vases. You saw how I put together the little frog. It was very, very simple. It really wasn't difficult. I'd never done it before, and I'm sure there's probably a proper way to do it. And maybe as I get to doing this, I'll learn, you know, maybe some tips and tricks that I can pass on to you. But you know, I am falling in love with doing this, and I think for centerpieces for your table, again, this is day number 3. I'm sorry, this one's day number 3. This is day number 1. And it would be so wonderful to actually see no preservative on this side, preservative on this side, to see if that actually will make a difference. So you guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I really hope that it gave you some inspiration to go ahead and get out in your garden and do some clipping and throw some things that you have clipped in the water and put them on your table. It's so nice to be able to walk out in your garden, and we enjoy it when we're walking all around, but we don't get to bring our gardens in the house very often, do we? No. So actually, this is a way to go out and bring your garden inside. So you guys, until the next video, bye for now.